Pokemon as a series is something special, and the release of something like Palworld has really helped solidify that belief for me. Now, I don't really care about the plagiarism, drama, or anything about Palworld. I'm sure that the game is fun, and some people may love the game and honestly think that it's what Pokemon should turn into. I entirely disagree with basically every aspect of that, but that's for another time. No matter your preference on the gameplay though, Pokemon has one thing that Palworld just doesn't and never will, and that's an almost 30-year head start. I've had the ability to grow up with this franchise and fall in love with the creatures and the world. And starting with Ruby and Sapphire, although it hasn't been perfect, Pokemon has become an interconnected ecosystem, allowing you to bring your original childhood team members into each new game as they came out throughout the years. Pokemon is the only game that I know of that has allowed players to maintain their special game pieces, in this case, the Pokemon themselves, that they had and cherished all the way back in 2002, and bring them all the way into the newest games to experience them in entirely new ways. Okay, again, it hasn't been perfect, but it's better than nothing. As a child, I lacked the foresight to know how old Pokemon would interact with the new games, and after my brother deleted my save file of Pokemon XD with the vast majority of my Pokemon from my childhood Fire Red and Emerald saves, I kinda lost interest in the franchise and moved on to other games that every other 8-year-old loved and was playing at the time. You know, like Gears of War 2, Halo 3, COD 4, and World at War. Eventually, Pokemon Black and White would come out and renew my interest in the games. But it just kinda joined my rotation of games I played and cared about rather than consuming my entire life. Also, at the time, my older cousin was big into Pokemon, and actually still is, so we've always had that in common. I remember showing off cool Pokemon to each other and arguing about which ones were the coolest, and one conversation in particular, when he attempted to explain how IVs and EVs worked to a 10-year-old. That one didn't really go well. But it was about when Pokemon X and Y came out, we both learned of Pokemon Showdown, and this opened a door for us. We could now mess around with the stats of any Pokemon at will and make teams to battle each other with without it taking hours of work. Now, thanks to Showdown, whenever we hung out, we would just set a 5 or 10 minute timer and make our teams and then immediately battle with our new creations. Some of my favorite memories of the time are when we would just give our Pokemon just goofy, random nicknames and strange sets just to confuse each other. It was almost like a show and tell on top of a battle, and it was only possible because it didn't take 10 hours to make one Pokemon. It was around this time when I crafted one of the most offensive teams to ever grace Gen 6 singles. Now, it wasn't exactly a good team by conventional standards. It was essentially 4 physical attackers with a bulky stealth rocker and a special attack nuke of a mega Pokemon. However, we were far from experts when it came to actual competitive battling at the time, so I remember this team being unstoppable for like a couple years actually, beating him and my best friend all the time until Showdown eventually fell out of our playlist. I look back at that decade-old team fondly, but one thing that I regret is I never actually made the team in-game. So they were always locked away in the lonely room that was my Pokemon Showdown team builder. That is, until now. With the release of the Indigo Disc, all the Pokemon I had on my team are now finally shiny huntable with the consistent hunting method. What I mean by that is they were all available in Sword and Shield, but the only real shiny hunting method in that game for anything that's not a legendary is just hatching eggs, so that wasn't exactly an enticing option at the time. On top of that, I went through the documents of one of my old Gmail accounts recently and found the copy paste of that exact same team. It's dated all the way back to July 27th, 2016, and I know I was using this team way before that because the only reason I made that document was because I got tired of consistently remaking the team using an old note card I had. So I want to take the time now to reflect on those years and recreate this veteran team in Scarlet and Violet, and let them breathe fresh air for the first time outside of an ancient Google Doc. Now, times have changed, so I will be changing their nicknames as well, to things that are less cringy and fit my tastes now. For example, back in the day I was a fairy tale kid. I know, it's bad. But I'm a more well-adjusted adult now, so Dragneel's going to be getting a name change, and my belly-drumming sweeper will no longer have a name made up of a different body part and different instrument. I am not going to say what it was before, and don't type it in the comments, but I think it's pretty easy to figure out what it was if you're over the age of, 16. Another thing is that the original team wasn't all shiny because we used to make fun of people who used all shiny teams on Showdown. But these guys are special to me and I want to do right by them. So now's the time to finally meet my decade-old team. I'll start off with my designated lead Pokemon, and for that, we're going to need a Tyrogue. And so after getting an Outbreak and knocking out 60 of them, I ate a sandwich and walked back up to the Outbreak when this happened. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. That is insane. It's meant to be. This video is blessed. And there we go, crit cap. Well, obviously I'm gonna ride out the rest of the sandwich and see where we end up. Let's go, number 2. Okay, this was the first guy, and this is the one we're going to be using because of the Pokeball I caught it in. But I'm going to hope we got a Adamant, I think is what I need. It's not minus attack, so it's not bad, but I'll have to mint it. Ooh, Mark? Let's go! That is so cool. Ooh, I got to come up with a really good name for this guy. A Mark Shiny first encounter. Like I said at the time, this video was blessed. Well, I should have kept my mouth shut and kept my expectations in check, because it was about this time when I started to get the stupid idea that I would try and get marks on each and every member of the team. You know, try to make them more special. That would never go wrong, right? I started this back in early January. Well, my next target would send me out of the sweet embrace of the DLC all the way back to Paldea. Well, I got an Outbreak from Meryl, so I did the usual song and dance, and there's no chance that the first one is marked again, right? No, you're not what I want. That was about 4 hours of hunting, and about when I got a stomach bug that put me out of commission for almost a week. So, a few days later, I resumed the hunt in a different location, and after another 6 hours or so... No, this happened. Oh, there's one. Please be marked, my friend. Okay, it's marked. Okay, let's see what this mark is. You know what? I'll take it. I'm probably just gonna keep this. I think that Meryl is quite a sociable Pokemon. It makes sense. Now, if you couldn't tell by the tone of my voice, I originally wasn't going to allow any sociable marks to count, but at this point, I was losing my mind, and I had just gotten over being sick, and honestly, the more I looked at Meryl, the more it just kind of turned into looking like a sociable little guy. Or, well, girl in this case. So, I set my ego aside and changed my non-official rules I had made up the week before so that I just couldn't have duplicate marks. That'll work, right? This was still pretty close to the DLC's release, and all I wanted to do was get back to the terrarium. So, I reset until I got an Outbreak that I actually wanted. Charmander, one of the main powerhouses of the team. This is that special attack nuke I was talking about. Formerly Dragneil, the Mega Charizard Y, who has to be responsible for the majority of the sweeps this team had under its belt. So, let's go find him. And it was in my first 10 minutes that I found this little dude. Wait, is that it? That's definitely it. Little golden boy? I don't know. We'll see. Hello, little one. He wasn't marked, but because of how fast I found him, and because I was back in the new terrarium, I was reinvigorated. And along the way, I ran into a random shiny I wasn't even hunting. No way, that's not what I'm looking for. A nice little bonus for sure, but 2 Charmanders later, our old friend revealed himself.
Oh, there it is. Let's go. You're starting to make me doubt you were here. And it has a mark? Please, no sociable. Yes, let's go. I'll take it. The sleepy. It's in a moon ball anyway. That makes sense.
And now, I have enough Charmanders to train a Charizard for each and every form the dude has. Mega X, Y, Gigantamax, and this new Evo it has coming in the next Legends game. Nah, I'm just kidding. But maybe. Anyway, now that we have a special Sleepy Charmander on the team, we can turn our attention to the only other hunt outside of the terrarium, and go to the Paradise Barrens of Kitakami. We're here for one thing and one thing only, a marked shiny timber.
Wait, there's one already. Let's go. Not even 3 minutes in, please.
Okay, that was fast. It's not marked though, so we have more hunting to do. Okay, what part of one thing only did you not understand? Well, after a few more of these guys, we found our team member.
Yes, there's one. Please be marked.
Okay.
I'm going to catch it in a repeat ball. And if it's what I need, I might quit without saving and try to get in a beast ball. Yes, let's go. That's a good one.
A Furious marked timber. That's kind of perfect if you ask me. Now we're at 4 out of 6 and the team is starting to shape up. So let's keep the train going. Our next hunt is going to take us to Chargestone Caverns in the Blueberry Academy, looking for a shiny Drillbur. Now, I don't know what it was about this hunt, but I felt like it was going to break me at times. My first shiny only took me about 10 minutes, which was awesome.
Wait, is that one? Dude, I had to squint to see that. I gotta be careful resetting these. I thought it was way more red than that. Oh, and it's marked. Please be a good mark. Don't be sociable or sleepy. Please. Okay. That continues.
But I should have cherished that moment because it was the luckiest I was basically the entire time.
No! Oh, I'm so mad. I just saw that.
This little dude in particular gave me like the most awful time. With every other sandwich not having a single shiny, and then when one would finally show up,
oh my goodness, a buzzer beater. Literally, that's the first one all sandwich.
It would be in like the final 5 minutes or so of the sandwich, making a huge gap in between shinies by, you know, modern standards. Okay, and now look, just look at the shiny, okay? It's pretty obvious, right? Well, sitting back where I was doing picnic resets, I'm not sure if my eyes are off, but it just felt like it was almost impossible to tell if something was shiny or not, unless I was seeing its broadside, because from the sides you couldn't see the pink, and the nose was too small to really see the blue, so it just had to be looking right at me.
Oh, there's one. Yeah, dude, without the zoom in feature, I think I would miss like 90% of these.
Because of this, every hour or so,
oh my god, they still exist.
I would see one shiny that was so obvious it would gaslight me into thinking that the past hour, I was just missing shinies left and right. Most of the time, I wouldn't even reset without counting to make sure I didn't see 16 Pokemon on screen. Then, when I did see one, it would be a moment of, oh, come on, stupid, it's so easy to tell. It's the most obvious shiny ever. What's wrong with you? Well, the problem was that at one point, I spent 4 hours without seeing a single shiny. Yeah, that's a whole 8 level 3 sandwiches without seeing anything. It felt like the more time that was between shiny Pokemon, the more likely I was just dumb and failing shinies left and right that I just didn't know about.
Oh my god, they still exist. I have gone 4 hours without seeing one of these. And of course, it's not going to be marked.
But eventually, this happened.
Oh my god, dude, I just need a hard reset over and over and over again until I have 3 minutes left in the sandwich. Please have a mark or something. No, not you. Oh, you do. Catch it with a dive ball first. Just please don't be sociable. Oh my god, dude.
A sociable Drillbur. And I know, I said I wasn't going to allow duplicate marks. I mean, after all, I just caught like 5 of these guys and turned them down, said they weren't fit for the job. Well, the story isn't over with this little guy. Because after a trip to Mesagosa, I learned something special.
Oh my god, no way. That's the one I just got.
I'm going to be mad if this isn't still here.
Dude,
Are you telling me it's over?
if it's not here, I'm going to throw up.
Yes.
Oh, it feels so good for a hunt to be over.
And after hours of catching shiny Pokemon with Humongo Power Level 3 active, this Drillbur became our new Jumbo friend and the first one of his kind. And with him joining the team, we just needed one final member. And that final team member will be found on top of this plateau in the canyon biome with a steel encounter sandwich, Skarmory. A good shiny that became kind of a Shino machine thanks to the lighting of this game. Because of the color of the sunlight reflecting off of its body, I couldn't really write off a Skarmory as shiny or not unless I saw the inside of their wings, because that's where the real significant change happens, turning the red to green. And honestly, it kinda made this hunt miserable. That was over 5 hours of hunting. But because of the frequency of Shinos and how much I had to look at each Pokemon to tell if it was shiny or not, it massively reduced my encounters per sandwich and made 5 hours of hunting feel like 10. And that's why I ended up making the executive decision that the next shiny Skarmory I found was going to be joining our team whether it was marked or not.
Wait, they still exist? Oh my god, it's been hours.
I know it's breaking the rules again, and I mean, even one of my marked Pokemon is an uncommon mark, and the only reason that's allowed is because I changed my rules to make it, but these videos are supposed to be an outlet for me to have fun with the franchise and express myself. So, if I was still doing the hunt today, with another 20 sociable Merrills and straining my eyes, another 5 hours a day looking at Skarmories, this video would have never came out whether it's late now or not. But don't worry, because this seemingly mundane shiny Skarmory has a bright future ahead of her. You see, I have this cool little chemical imbalance in my brain that makes Pokemon kind of a dopamine farm. Or serotonin, I never remember which one it is. I get really invested in games when they have systems that allow me to take a seemingly normal item, or, Pokemon in this case, and then allow me to modify it to go that extra mile and make it unique to me. So, now that I've confused you, I'll elaborate. Have you ever heard of a game called Counter-Strike? Well, unfortunately, I have, and I started playing it back in 2015 or so. In Counter-Strike, you can get skins for your weapons, but you can also put stickers on those skins to make them more unique and personalized. And on top of that, you can essentially nickname your weapon to make what the community calls a craft. Take this AK for example. The slate is a perfect canvas for basically any craft. It's kind of hard to make these things look bad. So because of that, there are thousands of these skins customized by the community. And since I have the humor of a 10-year-old, I thought it would be funny to spell out poop on the thing with team logos and also name it Uh-Oh Stinky.
Uh-oh. Stinky poop.
Or take this Deagle for example, which I slapped 4 of my favorite team logos onto and gave it a name to match their average performance. Now, the point of that tangent is to illustrate the reason why shiny hunting is so compelling for me personally, and it's the collection aspect. And not in the I want a disgusting number of different colored shiny Pokemon, caught in quick balls kind of way. It's different. I love looking at a shiny Pokemon and planning out everything, from catching them in a special ball that matches their shiny color variations, to giving them a fun or cool nickname, training them all the way to level 100 and giving them competitive movesets, to, even going and taking the time to get as many ribbons as I can on them. Nowadays, some of the more hardcore fans complain about how easy it is to get shiny Pokemon and how it cheapens their appeal, but to me, just finding and catching the shiny has never really been my end goal. It's not where the fun starts and ends. So that isn't where we're going to be stopping for this video either. This team of miscreants have 3 games ahead of them. Well, for the most part. So before we go into the second part of the video, let's meet the team so far. We have Rock Lee the Tyrogue, Carrot the Marill, Veldora the Charmander, Fran the Timber, Tostitos the Drillbur, and Exacto the Skarmory. They may not look impressive right now, but thanks to BDSP, there's a good number of ribbons available to all of them. Well, okay, not all of them. Fran and Tostitos kind of get the short end of the stick, but at least they can do Sword and Shield stuff. But before they can do any of that, they have some training to take care of. And by training, I mean dumping Paldea's GDP worth of roids into each and every single one of them, giving each member a mint to give them the correct natures, and finishing up with grinding them to level 100. For the level grinding, I use the exact method I covered in this video, and it took me just over 45 minutes to get the entire party to level 100. And during the grind, all of our friends evolved. And I found this little fella while I was doing it. After a few ability changing items, setting up the egg moves, using some bottle caps and evolving Fran into Conkeldurr, the team was ready to set out on their adventure. Tostitos and Fran have to say goodbye to their team members because BDSP decided to be the only remakes that didn't add any Pokemon that weren't in the original region. Yeah, real fun, Ilka. Then, Veldora, Carrot, Exacto, and Rock Lee can all travel to the hellscape that is Sinnoh. Yeah, I said hellscape. I don't like this region, I can talk about it later. We can start off by claiming the easiest of the ribbons available to them in this game, the Footprint ribbon, which they all receive from Mr. Footprint on Route 213 thanks to their high friendship, and keep that in mind. After that, it didn't take long to beat the Sinnoh Elite Four and earn everyone on the team their Sinnoh Champion ribbons, and then the actual fun could begin. And it wasn't fun. I had this video planned out for a bit, so I knew that making Poffins was unfortunately in my future, and thanks to this video from Austin John Plays, I knew that I was going to need a full team of Pokemon with max friendship who were all allowed to enter Amity Square, to make cooking Poffins much easier and just streamline the process. So I rounded up 6 of my random shiny Pokemon and maxed out their friendship in my Scarlet because of how easy the process is. But at the time, I didn't know that a Pokemon's friendship was separate for each trainer they are sent to. After all, I just trained 4 level 100 Pokemon who never touched BDSP before, and they all got the Footprint ribbon, a ribbon that can be earned one of 2 ways, gaining 30 levels after being caught, which BDSP never saw, or if the Pokemon has high friendship. So this led me to believe that while I was following this in-depth Poffin guide, that I was just unbelievably bad at spinning an analog stick in a circle. I'm not exaggerating that I spent over an hour and a half attempting and failing to make acceptable Poffins for contest stats, constantly rewinding the video and wondering what I was doing wrong. Eventually, I decided to cut my losses and just take care of some other stuff, and by stuff, I mean the Gorgeous, Royal, and Gorgeous Royal ribbons. I knew that friendship had to be the bottleneck in my Poffin production, so I was going to take care of that while grinding money. I figured that grinding to max money 4 separate times with all my Poffin chefs in my party would raise their friendship and finally push me past that roadblock. But in the end, all that happened was my Poffin cook time became like 3 seconds faster, not nearly enough to make up the difference and make acceptable Poffins. After another 30-ish minutes of trying to brute force the Poffin batter, I finally decided to see what my Pokemon's friendship was at. And it turns out I had to talk to an NPC I completely missed while playing through the game to get a Pokétch app that then let me see how many hearts my Pokemon had and the size of them, and that would let me know the friendship. And once I gained the power, I checked my little chef team's friendship levels, and they all looked at me like I disrespected their mother in a past life. Little hearts from everyone, including Apple, my Espeon, who I just did hours and hours of money farming with for 4 whole sets of gorgeous royal ribbons. And then, a little bit more research, the rabbit hole goes deeper. I realized that the whole time all I had to do was run around with each member outside of their Pokeball for a little bit, and all of a sudden I'm basically a childhood friend that they haven't seen in years. And each and every one of these little jerks have earned the spot on my naughty list. Well, that trauma behind me, I can finally make some Michelin star quality Poffins that allowed me to max out Veldora's contest stats and take on the Sinnoh contest scene. So I set up my ball capsules, and well, what happened next almost caused me to have an out-of-body experience fueled by pure rage while playing a children's game. You see, every contest in BDSP is basically just a simple rhythm game, something even a little kid can do. And a fun little factoid about me is that I am absolute dog water at anything and everything resembling rhythm games. Even when I was a kid, I was god-awful at games like Guitar Hero and developed a deep-seated hatred for that entire genre. So when I decided that Veldora and I would tackle the cool contest first, I was pleasantly surprised when the first 3 difficulties were a piece of cake, even for someone like me. But when I tell you that the next 3 hours straight was basically just a fever dream of the Master Difficulty Coolness contest, putting me on the verge of a panic attack non-stop, I'm not joking about any of that. Not a single part of that is a joke or an exaggeration. Eventually, I ended up doing what was mentally healthy and just turned off the recording and attempt all the other lower difficulty contests in the other categories. And on a whim, I decided to attempt the Master Level Beauty contest and beat it on the first try. Needless to say, this didn't do much to repair my declining mental health at the time because I still couldn't beat the coolness contest. I even called in my secret weapon in the form of my brother who did over 5 years of percussion and marching band, and he ended up telling me that my OBS had just enough of a delay to make this a losing war. But you see, I'm a perfect combination of stupid and stubborn, so after another hour-ish, I ended up being able to brute force the Master Level Coolness ribbon while sitting at my desk.
Oh my god, thank you.
But I couldn't be too happy because despite those small victories, I still had all of the other Master Level contests, not to mention the Brilliant contest, which, requires hours of grinding the Elite Four champion to get stickers. Not to mention, on top of all of that aneurysm-inducing game design, I couldn't just make all the Poffins for my other 3 team members because Ilka thought it would be an awesome idea to lock crucial gameplay items like, berries and stuff in my Pokemon game behind some awful farm system and force me to play frickin' Stardew Valley where it takes something like 48 hours to grow a Lumberry. This is about when I made the executive decision that I couldn't just sit at my desk and mold while failing contest attempts repeatedly for hours on end, or sit there and grind the Elite Four to get enough champion stickers to make Brilliant contest viable yet, or just sit here and watch Lumberries grow. So I took my Switch off the dock and sat on the couch in the living room while watching TV, doing my contest attempts, and repeatedly dismantling the Elite Four.
Once the game decided that I had waited long enough, I finally gathered the berries needed to finish cooking Poffins for my other 3 team members. All that was left was forcing my Pokemon to create some mukbang content and then re-entering my personal 7th layer of hell. And that's when the wildest thing happened. The stupid contests became way easier. Carrot, Rock Lee, and Exacto all earned their contest ribbons insanely fast, taking less than 2 or 3 attempts each, until I ended up finding myself just clearing them on the first try. On one hand, I was so relieved that the rest of the contests went so smoothly, but on the other, it actually infuriated me how difficult they were the first time I tried them and how much time I wasted on them. Just for me to take my Switch off the dock and within 30 minutes or so, become good enough to beat all the stupid things on the first try? Really?
Well, after extorting Cynthia for a good handful of her special stickers and maxing out my Pokemon Sheen by feeding them random junk poffins, even the Brilliant contests were not a problem, and within 10 minutes or so, I had all the ribbons I needed, and my beautiful friends here all became contest masters. Throughout the whole process of learning the BDSP post-game and doing the necessary grinding to be able to easily obtain those ribbons, my save file went from about 28 hours all the way to 57 hours. That means it took me almost 30 hours of grinding and troubleshooting in the worst remakes ever made just to get these ribbons. And that's not counting the time out of game it just took for freaking berries to grow. Now, I would be a very happy man if I never had to touch these games again, but unfortunately, I'm the special kind of dumb that gets a shot of dopamine looking at full ribbon pages, so I'll be revisiting these stupid things soon enough. But for now, we can leave Sinnoh behind and move on to Galar, where the entire team can reunite and earn some simple ribbons. After about 20 minutes of battling in the Galarian tournament, they all earn their Galar champion ribbon. And a few hours and 2 runs into the battle tower later, everyone earned their Tower Master ribbon. Brief pit stop to Galar over, and the team can return home to Paldea and finish their journey. They all earned the Reliable Partner ribbon thanks to an old controller and a hair tie, and for some reason Exacto decided to be a pain in the neck by taking an extra 10 hours to earn her mark. Next, I ran around the terrarium to start working on the Treasure Hunter mark, and some Pokemon were much faster than others, but after about an hour or 2 and 3 Pokemon down, I moved over to the Paradise Barrens in Kitakami because I knew that there was a lot of items on the ground over there. Now, I only recorded a little bit of the process for a B-roll, but while I was recording Carrot working on her mark, this happened. No way. So I was just running around getting the Treasure Hunter mark on my last team member, Carrot, who still doesn't have it. Was it random? No sandwich? I got the Shiny Charm, so it's at least Shiny Charm odds, but other than that, full odds Shiny Timber. Okay, that was cool. Extra shiny in the box, but now it's time to keep picking up items. I stopped recording because I had to go do something. And then I just stumble upon this guy. Literally, I've been like back sitting down playing the game for maybe like 5 minutes. Again, no sandwich. Completely random. 2 random Charm Odd Shinies within 5 minutes isn't the most insane thing that's ever happened, but it's a fun way to finish up the video. Because after setting up my turbo controller and standing in front of a stall in Kitakami, the team all earns their Gourmand marks, and after they all mop up the Academy Ace tournament, they become Paldean champions, leaving only 1 more ribbon for them to earn. But that's where we will stop the video for today, because I have something special for that ribbon at a later date. That may or may not include a bunch of shiny Gen 9 Pokemon. So if you enjoyed our adventure and this type of content, then please leave a like on the video because that helps a ton, and subscribe to the channel for future content. My next video will be some kind of twist on the same format, but I'll talk more about it when that project is further along. For now, I'll say thank you for watching, see you next time, and let's officially meet our team.